My dear sister, my dear brother, if lately you feel unsettled without knowing why, if your heart feels heavier even when life looks normal, if people are leaving your life and your patience is being tested more than ever before, I want you to listen very carefully. This is not a coincidence. This is not Allah forgetting you. This is often what happens right before Allah changes a person's life. When Allah is preparing you for something greater, He first removes comfort, shifts people, and stretches your heart in ways you did not expect. If you are experiencing this right now, do not panic. Do not lose hope. What feels like confusion today may be preparation for a blessing that will soon make sense. Stay with me, because these signs are not random. They are messages. 1. When you start losing interest in things you once loved. My dear sister, my dear brother, one of the earliest and most confusing signs that Allah is preparing you for something greater is when your heart slowly begins to lose interest in things that once meant everything to you. These are not small changes. You notice that activities you used to look forward to now feel heavy. Conversations that once energized you now feel draining. Even people you love being around no longer bring the same comfort. You sit in the same places, do the same things and live the same routine, yet something inside you feels distant and disconnected. You may try to force yourself to enjoy it again. You tell yourself, I should be grateful, others would be happy to have this. And yet, despite your effort, your heart is not fully present. There is no excitement, no fulfillment, no peace. This can make you feel guilty, confused, or even afraid. You may wonder if something is wrong with you, if your iman is weak, or if you are becoming unappreciative. But my dear one, this feeling is not ingratitude. It is growth. Allah created the heart to change as the soul evolves. Just as a child outgrows certain clothes, the soul outgrows certain attachments. When Allah plans to elevate you, He does not always announce it with joy first. Often, He begins by removing comfort. He removes the sweetness from things that would keep you stuck in a place you were never meant to remain forever. This is Allah's mercy, not His anger. Allah never empties your heart without intending to fill it with something better. When He wants to move you closer to Him, closer to your purpose, or closer to a higher level of awareness, He gently detaches you from what no longer serves your akhirah. The distractions lose their flavor. The noise becomes exhausting. The superficial joys feel hollow. This is Allah protecting you from stagnation. Understand this clearly. If something was meant to stay in your life, Allah would allow your heart to remain at ease with it. But when something has completed its role, Allah removes the attachment from your heart before He removes it from your life. This is why you feel restless even though nothing outwardly has changed. Your soul already knows it is time to move, even if your mind is still catching up. This discomfort is not meant to push you into sadness. It is meant to guide you toward awareness. Allah is gently whispering to your heart, this is no longer your place. There is more waiting for you. When you ignore this signal and force yourself to stay emotionally attached to what Allah is asking you to release, the heart becomes heavy. But when you accept it with trust, clarity begins to appear. Do not rush to replace what you are losing interest in. Do not panic. Sit with the silence. Sit with the discomfort. Ask Allah what He is teaching you. This phase is not about immediate answers. It is about preparation. Allah is clearing space inside you for something greater, something deeper, something more aligned with who you are becoming. And remember, my dear one, Allah does not take away joy unless He plans to give you a better version of it. Trust His process, trust His timing, and trust that the emptiness you feel today is only temporary, because Allah never leaves a sincere heart empty for long. 2. When Allah removes people from your life without giving you closure, my dear sister, my dear brother, one of the most painful signs that Allah is preparing you for something greater is when people begin to disappear from your life without explanation. Relationships change suddenly. Conversations become cold. Someone you trusted, loved, or depended on is no longer present the way they once were. There is no clear argument, no dramatic ending, no honest goodbye, just distance, silence, absence. This kind of loss hurts deeply because the human heart seeks understanding. You replay conversations in your mind. You ask yourself what you said wrong, what you could have done differently, or why things change so quietly. The pain does not come only from the person leaving, but from the unanswered questions they leave behind. You want closure because closure feels like peace. But my dear one, Allah does not always grant closure through people. Sometimes He gives closure through distance. Sometimes He gives clarity, not through explanations, but through removal. And this is one of the hardest forms of mercy to recognize. Understand this deeply. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people are meant to walk with you only until you learn a lesson, gain strength, or recognize your worth. When their role is complete, Allah removes them, even if your heart is not ready. If Allah allowed every attachment to continue, some relationships would block your growth, weaken your iman, or distract you from your purpose. Allah sees what you cannot see. He sees the conversations behind your back, the intentions hidden in hearts, and the emotional cost of keeping certain people close. When Allah removes someone without explanation, it is often because explaining would not bring peace. It would bring more confusion, more hurt, and more attachment. Silence becomes protection. Many people think separation means rejection, but often it is redirection. Allah redirects your heart away from people who cannot go where Allah is taking you. Some people are comfortable with the old version of you. They benefit from your silence, your patience, your availability, or your emotional labor. But when Allah begins to elevate you, these connections become heavy. They resist your growth, even if unintentionally. My dear sister, my dear brother, if Allah removes someone from your life, do not chase them for answers. Allah has already decided to withhold. Do not beg for explanations that will not heal you. What Allah removes, He removes for a reason. And what leaves your life under Allah's command was never meant to remain permanently. This does not mean you stop loving people. It does not mean you become hard-hearted. It means you trust Allah's wisdom more than your emotions. You allow yourself to grieve, but you do not let grief turn into self-blame. You do not assume that every ending is your fault. Sometimes Allah simply says, this person has reached the end of their role in your life. One of the greatest dangers is holding on to people Allah is asking you to release. When you cling to relationships that Allah has closed, your heart stays stuck between what was and what is meant to be. Peace comes when you accept Allah's decision, even when it hurts. Healing begins when you say, Allah knows what I do not. Remember this truth. If someone was essential for your next chapter, Allah would have softened their heart to stay. If they left, it is because their presence would have limited you. Allah does not remove good things to harm you. He removes what is no longer good for you. Trust the separation. Trust the silence. Trust that Allah is protecting you from attachments that would have broken you later. What Allah removes today is often what would have destroyed your peace tomorrow. And my dear one, when Allah takes someone away, He does not leave you alone. He replaces human dependence with divine closeness. If you feel the ache of absence, turn it into dua. Allah never leaves a heart unsupported when it turns sincerely to Him. 3. When your emotional tests become heavier than before. My dear sister, my dear brother, another clear sign that Allah is preparing you for something greater is when your emotional tests suddenly feel heavier than anything you have experienced before. You are not necessarily facing new problems on the outside, but inside your heart feels stretched, sensitive, and tired. Small things affect you deeply. Situations that you once handled with ease now feel overwhelming. You may feel misunderstood, unsupported, or emotionally alone, even when people are around you. This emotional weight can be confusing. You may ask yourself why you feel this way when you are trying to do better, pray more, and be patient. You may wonder why your heart feels so vulnerable at a time when you thought you were becoming stronger. But my dear one, emotional difficulty is often a sign of internal transformation. Allah strengthens His servants not by removing emotions, but by teaching them how to carry emotions with faith. When Allah prepares you for a higher level in life or in Iman, He refines your heart first. Emotional tests are a form of purification. They expose where you are still attached, where you still expect people to understand you fully, and where you are still relying on sources other than Allah for comfort. This is not to shame you, it is to free you. Many times, Allah allows emotional pain so that your heart learns where true safety lies. Human beings, no matter how loving, are limited. They will misunderstand you, disappoint you, or fail to show up in the way you need. When your emotional stability is tied to people, your peace becomes fragile. Allah does not want your peace to be fragile. He wants it to be rooted in Him. These emotional tests teach you emotional independence without emotional coldness. You still feel deeply, but you stop expecting others to carry the weight of your heart. You learn to sit with Allah in your sadness, your confusion, and your fear. You learn to cry to Him before you explain yourself to the world. This is not weakness, this is spiritual maturity. My dear sister, my dear brother, emotional pain does not mean Allah is distant. Often, it means He is very close. Allah allows your heart to feel so that it learns sincerity. When emotions are heavy, dua becomes honest. You stop performing faith and start living it. You stop saying what sounds right and start saying what is real. And Allah loves honesty in dua more than perfection in words. It is important to understand that Allah never tests your heart beyond its capacity, even when you feel like you cannot carry this weight anymore. Allah knows your limits better than you do. Every emotional test you face is measured precisely. It is designed not to break you, but to teach you reliance, patience, and trust at a deeper level than before. During this phase, you may feel the urge to withdraw from people and turn inward. This is natural. Emotional tests often come with a need for quiet reflection. This is Allah inviting you to listen to your heart, to reassess your priorities, and to heal areas you previously ignored because life was too busy. Do not rush yourself through this stage. Healing is not instant, and growth is not loud. One of the greatest lessons emotional tests teach you is discernment. You learn who truly supports you and who only enjoyed your strength when it benefited them. You learn when to speak and when silence is safer. You learn that not every pain needs an explanation, and not every struggle needs an audience. This wisdom prepares you for the responsibility of what Allah is about to give you. Remember this deeply. If Allah is increasing your emotional tests, it is because He is increasing your capacity. He is preparing your heart to hold something greater than before. Greater responsibility requires greater emotional strength. Greater closeness to Allah requires deeper sincerity. Do not see this emotional heaviness as a sign of failure. See it as a sign of refinement. Allah is shaping your heart gently, even when it feels painful. Hold on to Him during this phase. Speak to Him honestly, and trust that when this season passes, you will not be the same person you were before. You will be calmer, wiser, and closer to Allah than you ever imagined. 4. When your du'as change and become more honest than ever before. My dear sister, my dear brother, one of the most beautiful signs that Allah is preparing you for something greater is when the way you make dua begins to change. You may not notice it at first, but slowly your words become different. Your requests become quieter, deeper, and more sincere. You stop asking Allah only for outcomes, and you begin asking Him for guidance, strength, and peace. In earlier stages of life, many of our du'as are focused on what we want to happen. We ask Allah to change people, fix situations, open specific doors, or give us exactly what we have imagined. There is nothing wrong with this. Allah loves to be asked, but when Allah is preparing your heart for elevation, He refines your desires. He teaches you to ask not only for what you want, but for what you need. You begin to notice that you are no longer interested in impressing anyone with your du'as. You are not concerned about sounding eloquent or saying the perfect words. Instead, you speak to Allah with honesty. Sometimes your du'a is just silence and tears. Sometimes it is confusion and surrender. Sometimes it is a simple plea from a tired heart saying, Ya Allah, I trust you, even though I don't understand. This shift is powerful. It means your relationship with Allah is becoming real, not performative. You are no longer making dua from a place of entitlement, but from a place of humility. You recognize your dependence on Allah, and this awareness softens your heart. Allah loves this state. A broken, sincere heart is closer to Him than a confident tongue. My dear one, when your du'as become honest, your soul begins to heal. You stop hiding your fears from Allah, even though He already knows them. You stop pretending to be strong when you are tired. You stop bargaining with Allah and start trusting Him. This is a sign of spiritual maturity. It means your heart has learned that Allah is not just the one who grants, but the one who understands. At this stage, you may notice that you are asking less for control and more for clarity. You ask Allah to show you the right path, even if it is not the easiest one. You ask Him to remove what harms your iman, even if you are attached to it. You ask Him to shape your heart in a way that pleases Him, even if it requires patience and waiting. These are powerful du'as, because they come from surrender, not fear. Allah responds to such du'as in ways you may not immediately recognize. Sometimes the response comes as patience instead of immediate relief. Sometimes it comes as insight instead of change. Sometimes it comes as strength instead of ease. Do not mistake this for silence. Allah is always responding, but not always in the way you expect. He responds in the way that prepares you best for what is coming next. You may also notice that during this phase, you turn to dua more often, not only in moments of crisis, but in moments of calm. Dua becomes your refuge, not your last option. This is a sign that Allah is drawing you closer to Him. When Allah wants to elevate you, He increases your dependence on Him and decreases your dependence on everything else. My dear sister, my dear brother, if your du'as feel deeper, more personal, and more vulnerable than before, take this as a sign of nearness. Allah is listening closely. He is shaping your heart to receive what you have been praying for, even if the answer has not yet arrived. Continue making dua with trust. Continue speaking to Allah with honesty. And remember, a sincere dua is never wasted. Even when you do not see immediate results, Allah is preparing something greater in ways you cannot yet see. 5. When silence becomes necessary for your peace. My dear sister, my dear brother, one of the quiet but powerful signs that Allah is preparing you for something greater is when you begin to crave silence. Not the silence of loneliness, but the silence of protection. You start to speak less, explain less, and share less about your life, your struggles, and your plans. What once felt natural to discuss now feels heavy to expose. You realize that not every thought needs to be spoken, and not every emotion needs an audience. This shift can feel strange, especially if you were once someone who expressed openly or relied on others for understanding. You may worry that you are becoming distant or cold, but this is not emotional withdrawal. This is emotional wisdom. Allah is teaching you discernment. He is showing you that peace does not come from being understood by everyone, but from being secure with yourself and with Him. Silence becomes necessary when words begin to cost you more than they heal you. You notice that explaining yourself repeatedly drains your energy. Defending your intentions exhausts your heart. Sharing your pain with the wrong people leaves you feeling more exposed, not supported. Allah allows you to feel this discomfort, so you learn to protect your inner world. My dear one, silence is not weakness. Silence is strength guided by faith. When Allah prepares you for elevation, He teaches you when to speak and when to withhold. He teaches you that your peace is sacred and should not be placed in hands that cannot handle it gently. This is especially important when you are healing, growing, or transitioning into a new phase of life. During this stage, you may find that your conversations become more meaningful but fewer. You listen more than you speak. You observe more than you react. You choose your words carefully, knowing that silence can sometimes communicate trust in Allah better than explanations ever could. This is maturity. Allah also uses silence to draw you closer to Him. When you stop explaining yourself to people, you begin explaining yourself to Allah. You pour out your thoughts in dua instead of conversation. You seek comfort in prayer instead of validation. This strengthens your relationship with Allah and weakens your dependence on people. My dear sister, my dear brother, silence creates space for reflection. In silence, you hear your own heart clearly. You recognize what truly matters and what no longer deserves your energy. Allah uses this quiet to refine your priorities, heal emotional wounds, and strengthen your self-respect. It is important to understand that silence does not mean isolation. You still maintain kindness, respect, and compassion. You simply become selective. You learn that access to your heart is a privilege, not a right. This understanding prepares you for the responsibility of what Allah is about to give you. When Allah grants you something greater, it often comes with greater responsibility and greater scrutiny. Silence teaches you stability. It teaches you to remain grounded even when others misunderstand you. It teaches you to trust Allah's approval over people's opinions. If you find yourself choosing silence more often, do not fight it. Ask Allah to guide your words and protect your heart. This phase is not about hiding, it is about preserving peace. And know this, my dear one, Allah does not lead you into silence to make you smaller. He leads you into silence to make you stronger, wiser, and more aligned with who you are becoming. 6. When your patience is being tested more than ever before. My dear sister, my dear brother, one of the clearest signs that Allah is preparing you for something greater is when your patience is stretched in ways you never experienced before. You find yourself waiting for answers that do not come quickly, waiting for relief that seems delayed, and waiting for clarity while uncertainty surrounds you. You are doing what you can. You are making dua. You are trying to remain hopeful, yet the waiting feels heavy on the heart. This stage can be deeply challenging because the human soul dislikes uncertainty. We want timelines, we want reassurance, we want to know when things will change. But Allah does not always reveal His timing, because sometimes knowing the timing would weaken the lesson patience is meant to teach. Patience is not passive, it is active trust. It is choosing to believe in Allah's wisdom, even when you do not see the outcome. When Allah prepares you for something greater, He often delays it, not to deny you, but to strengthen you. Some blessings require emotional stability, spiritual maturity, and deep trust in Allah. If they arrived too early, they might overwhelm you or pull you away from Him. Allah delays to protect both you and the blessing. My dear one, patience is not about suppressing your emotions. You are allowed to feel tired, frustrated, or discouraged. Even the most beloved servants of Allah felt these emotions. What matters is where you take those feelings. When patience is being tested, Allah invites you to turn inward, to reflect, and to strengthen your reliance on Him. During this period, you may notice that your usual coping methods no longer work. Distractions fail. Advice from others feels incomplete. This is because Allah wants to become your primary source of comfort. He wants you to experience what it means to rely on Him fully, without conditions or expectations. This is a powerful form of spiritual growth. Allah also uses patience to teach you humility. You realize how little control you truly have, and this realization softens the heart. You stop forcing outcomes and start surrendering them. This surrender does not make you weak, it makes you resilient. When you stop fighting Allah's timing, your heart finds peace even in uncertainty. My dear sister, my dear brother, patience changes you from the inside. It teaches you gratitude for small blessings. It teaches you endurance during hardship. It teaches you faith that is not dependent on immediate results. Allah loves patience because patience reflects trust, and trust reflects closeness to Him. If your patience is being tested right now, remind yourself that Allah sees your struggle. He knows every silent tear, every suppressed sigh, and every moment you choose faith over despair. Nothing is wasted. Every moment of patience is recorded, and every sincere effort is honored. Sometimes, Allah does not change your situation immediately because He is changing you first. He is strengthening your heart so that when the blessing arrives, you will receive it with gratitude, humility, and responsibility. Hold on, my dear one. The waiting is not endless. The delay is not meaningless. Allah's timing is precise and His wisdom is perfect. If He is asking you to be patient, it is because something greater is being prepared. Something that will make you look back at this season and understand why it had to unfold this way. My dear sister, my dear brother, if you have been listening to these signs and quietly recognizing your own life in them, I want you to know something very important. You are not lost, you are not broken, and you are certainly not forgotten by Allah. What you are experiencing is not random pain or meaningless struggle. It is preparation. Allah does not disturb a heart without purpose. He does not remove comfort without intention, and He does not delay relief without wisdom. Every sign you are noticing right now is Allah gently guiding you from one stage of your life to another. He is loosening your attachment to what no longer serves you, strengthening your heart through emotional tests, teaching you sincerity in dua, protecting your peace through silence, and training you in patience so that you are ready for what comes next. You may not see the full picture yet, and that is okay. Faith is not about seeing everything clearly. Faith is about trusting Allah even when the path feels unclear. Allah sees what you cannot see. He knows what is ahead of you, and He knows what must be removed, delayed, or reshaped to protect you from harm and draw you closer to Him. Do not rush this season. Do not compare your journey to anyone else's. Everyone has a different path, a different pace, and a different test. Allah is dealing with you personally, lovingly, and precisely. What He is preparing for you will arrive at the right time, not a moment early and not a moment late. If your heart feels tired, rest with Allah. If your mind feels confused, seek clarity from Him. If your soul feels heavy, remember that Allah is closer to you now than you may realize. The very fact that you are turning toward Him, listening for meaning, and searching for understanding is proof that He is guiding you. Trust Allah's process, even when it hurts. Trust His timing, even when it feels slow. And trust that what is coming will make sense of everything that feels confusing right now. One day, you will look back and realize that this was the moment Allah was preparing you for something greater than you ever asked for. Until that day comes, hold on to Allah. He is enough. He has always been enough. And He will never abandon a heart that sincerely turns to Him.